In this lesson, we're digging into power. Every family has power struggles from time to time. You may think you have more than your fair share, and that's probably why you're doing this important work. But let's step back for a minute and look at why power struggles happen in the first place. Think about this statement. Parent priorities are not the same as kid priorities. Parent priorities are not the same as kid priorities. That sounds pretty obvious, doesn't it? But close your eyes for a minute and think about a typical morning at your house. If I was a fly on the wall, what would it sound like? How many things are you asking your kids to do or not do in the morning? Hurry up, it's time to get dressed. Eat your breakfast, but not that sugary stuff. Hurry up, brush your teeth. No electronics in the morning. Come on, the bus is going to be here in 5 minutes. Where's your coat? It's freezing out there. Do you have your permission slip? Don't forget, you have piano after school. If I was a fly on the wall after school, what would it sound like? What about at meal times, before bed? How many things are you asking your kids to do or not do throughout the day? For most families, it's a pretty long list, especially if one or both parents have superiority or controlling as their parent personality priority. But here's the deal. Every single one of those requests, reminders, and directives is an opportunity for a power struggle, an opportunity for an eye roll. It doesn't mean the power struggle is definitely going to happen, but there's a high probability. Kid priorities are not the same as parent priorities. And the more ordering, correcting, and directing we do, the higher the probability that we're going to have power struggles with our kids. Now, you're already doing some very important things to provide positive power and minimize opportunities for power struggles. Mind, body, and soul time, using your calm voice, encouragement, taking time for training. And there's a lot more we can do to minimize the opportunity for power struggles, which we're going to tackle in this lesson. You learned in session 1 that all human beings have a hardwired need for personal power, to feel independent, have some control over their own lives. That builds their sense of significance. I'm curious how your kids feel about their power. If I asked your kids this question, how would they respond? Who has the power in your family? What do you think? In most families, kids would probably say, Mom has the power, or Dad's the boss. Or they might say, both parents have the power and make the rules. In this lesson, let's begin by looking at 2 different perspectives on power. The first one we refer to as the over-power paradigm. In the over-power paradigm, it's very much of an authoritarian, command and control style of parenting. We say things like, because I said so. It's based on the premise that we can make our kids behave, or we can make them do what we want simply by exerting our will or our power, because we're bigger, stronger, and we have the control. Now, on one hand, that's appealing to some parents because it's certainly a quicker and easier approach, but it doesn't really work in today's culture. And it's not because kids are inherently disrespectful today or they don't honor your authority. Here's why the overpower approach doesn't work in today's world. For one, society's overall power has changed. Think about it. A generation or 2 ago, kids saw blind obedience modeled in the home. Dad made the rules, Mom blindly followed those rules, and kids followed suit. But society isn't like that today. Women don't blindly follow the wishes of men at home or in the workplace. Today's kids grow up seeing a more democratic communication style and power sharing, where parents feel free to debate and negotiate things. In most homes, parents share the responsibilities of earning money and running the home and taking care of children. Outside the home, kids are treated with respect by teachers and coaches and other adults in authority. Kids fundamentally understand that overpower paradigm is out of step with the way society works today. Where parents run into trouble is when they try to use the 1950s overpower, do it because I said so strategies with kids who are being raised in a 21st century mode of power. And that is a guaranteed recipe for power struggles. Of course, you do inherently have power over the child because you're the parent. But there are more positive and effective ways to use that power rather than barking orders or expecting blind, immediate obedience. And let's be honest, when your kids are teenagers and young adults, do you want them blindly following whatever someone else tells them to do? No, we want them to be independent, to feel like they have a sense of control over their own lives, and to feel empowered to make their own positive decisions. When we constantly tell them what to do and demand compliance, we erode their confidence. They don't get the chance to practice making age-appropriate decisions, even bad ones, so they won't be properly prepared for making decisions in the real world. If we try to hold on to all the power and force blind obedience, we are in for a long haul of power struggles. Our kids will be on a mission for power, and they'll get it any way they can. Now, this leads us to the new view of power, and we call it the empowerment paradigm. The empowerment paradigm consists of two Adlerian tenets. The first tenet is, we can't control another person. We can't control our kids, we can't control our partners. Even though we'd really like to, the reality is we can't control another person. We can't make the kid eat broccoli unless we're willing to hold open their mouths and shove the broccoli down their throat. We can't make them go to sleep even if we tie them to the bed. And of course, we don't recommend either of these tactics. But my point is, trying to impose our will on our kids is really a ridiculous notion because we can't force somebody else to do something, at least not without a monumental power struggle or breaking their spirit. That brings us to the second tenet of the empowerment paradigm. All we can control is ourselves and the environment. That means we can control our reactions to the power struggle, and we can control the situation, the environment, to reduce the opportunities for power struggles in the first place. That doesn't mean we're going to let our kids walk all over us. It means we'll set appropriate limits and remove the fuel so we can reduce power struggles down the road. These two tenets will play into everything we talk about in this session. Keep them in mind and really let them sink in. Watch for ways they play out with your kids, and then keep watching for plenty of positive ways to empower rather than overpower your children. Now, a lot of parents get nervous about giving up power, but once we recognize we really don't have as much power and control as we think we do, it's a lot easier to give that positive power to our kids. In the next lesson, let's look at tools we can use to give kids a big boost of positive power. That will add to their feelings of significance and set them up for better behavior and better decisions down the road.